Hello, everyone. Welcome to your most Warhammerist of Warhammer Meta Chasers show there ever is and ever will be. We are the Warhammer Meta Chasers. My name is Paul, your host. I'm joined by Adam Camilleri
Evening, afternoon, morning, everybody.
and Dustin Henshaw.
What day is it even? Hello.
You don't
Year
know.
is
You got
it?
events coming up. You got
I got
stuff
no
happening.
idea.
A very active time for you. But welcome to the show, everyone. This is your weekly hype show where we build up the biggest and best tournaments that are coming up over the weekend. We're going to tell you what is going to be there. You can either try to beat the meta or beat the meta. But what is the meta? That's what we're going to break it down and tell you what's happening. Welcome, everyone. Thanks again for joining us. We have some great events to talk about. We also have an event shout out. I want to say, let's bring up this national tournament in Mexico, Torino National Warhammer 40,000 tournament in Merida, the Yucatan province in Mexico. 60 players, 5-round event. I think a golden ticket is up for grabs here.
Mate, 2 golden tickets. I think first place gets airfares in addition to their golden ticket, and second place just gets the ticket. So that is an exciting one there. And I think that's one of the biggest events I've seen coming out of Mexico. So their meta is certainly churning along very nicely. Artemis Steve, let us know. I know you're in the chat or watching it back. Let us know if you're going to be there, mate, what you're taking.
Please do. And we also want to say, where is War Games Live? War Games Live is going to be at one of the events we're going to be covering here, Charity Hammer. So I guess let's go ahead and jump into a Charity Hammer Invitational from somewhere in the upper left corner, Washington State, USA.
It's not in Seattle. It's up straight up from Seattle. I don't care. It's up there somewhere.
In the
You've got to be getting close to Canada.
It's close enough to Canada. I think McDougall drives there, actually, because he's on the west side of Canada, too.
Oh, nice. 30 players, 5-round event, single elimination. Going to be knocking it out for blood there, Charity Hammer. Although for a great cause, this is a cool event. We know put on annually by a friend of the show, Colin.
Yep.
So let's. What are we going to see there, Dustin?
For the quick and dirty stats here, we're going to be having Imperial Faction. There's 1 Sisters of Battle, 1 Custode, 1 Astra Militarum, 3 Grey Knights, 1 Imperial Knight. Space Marines, there's 2 Adeptus Astartes and 2 Dark Angels. Chaos, there's 1 T-Sun, 1 Death Guard, 1 Demon. Xenos, there's 1 Necron, 4 Orcs, 1 Tau, and 1 Votan. Hive Mind, there's 4 Tyranids and 1 G. They're called Eldari. There's 1 Drukhari and 3 Eldari, meaning the faction podium is Orcs and Tyranids, topping it off with 4 each. Eldari and Grey Knights in second with 3, and then Adeptus Astartes and Dark Angels, both of the Space Marines in third with 2 each.
So I will tell you right now, this being an invitation, this thing is absolutely stacked. There's some of the best players in the United States and a couple of the best players from Canada in attendance. They have made some efforts to try and get a good spread of factions, but this essentially is a kind of the Shark Tank of the Pacific North, whatever the crap, region of the United States. So there are some of the absolute best players. Yeah, that one. Some of the best players.
It's often referred to as like the hardest RTT in the world.
It legitimately is. Well, it's a 5-rounder, so it's got a good amount of rounds to get one undefeated, because it is a single elimination event. So you get seeded from 1 to 30, and then you run your way through the gauntlet. There are some absolute juggernauts in attendance this one, and yeah, have a look at that podium. Orcs and what was it?
Tyranids.
Orcs and Tyranids. Of course, for this event and every event this week, I believe the new data slate is in effect, and the Tyranids Codex
absolutely is, because I'm looking at the first list we're looking at, and it's using all the new stuff, so it's definitely in effect.
Well, dude, why don't you take it away for us? Because I did have a look at all 4 of the Tyranids lists there, and it is Alex McDougall's in attendance as well, who's an absolute Tyranid specialist. Sorry, Paul, what's up?
No, so just before you jump into the list, I want to mention, if I didn't, we do this live. So if you're listening to us after the fact on a podcast or something like that, know that we do this live. We have a great chat community. Every Thursday night at 9 p.m. Eastern is about the time when we kick this off. And you're hearing it after the fact. You can be part of the show if you join us live on those Thursdays. So there you go. Sorry, I wanted to mention that before we got in too much into the meaty center.
Exactly right. So I did look at Alex McDougall's list quite extensively, but I actually like John Lennon's more, because I thought it demonstrated more of the new hotness. Whereas Alex McDougall's list had 3x3 pyrovores in it. I thought he was pushing a bit more of a meta archetype, whereas John was taking kind of a bit more of a showcase of Tyranids. But Dustin, take it away.
Yeah, for sure. So John Lennon's Tyranids list, he is doing the Vanguard Onslaught, which is the very tricksy, I like to call it the GSC detachment, because it has so many tricks in there. It's got some aggressive abilities in there. I actually love the Vanguard one. But anyway, he is bringing Death Leaper, Hive Tyrant with the Hunting Grounds upgrade. Oh, you put the upgrades in here too. All right, Adam, good job. Then he has the Wing Tyranid Prime with Neuro Node as well. 10 Gargoyles, a Biovore, because you only need one now. So them could do their spore seeding. An Exocrine, 2 Maliceptors, 3 Neurolictors, 2x1 Ripper Swarms because they are cheap and easy for objectives. 6 Melee Warriors, interesting. And then 6 3/3 Von Ryan's Lictors, and then 6 Zoanthropes. So there's too much to unpack here. We'd have the whole. I need the whole show.
Yeah.
Look, I've actually been painting some Tyranids to devour one of my buddies' Ultramarines list.
Nice.
So I needed a good Tyranid list. So I'm glad we featured one of these.
Well, a lot of people have been like trying to figure out the Vanguard list too, so it's good that John's kind of given them the first go at. Hey, like this is my thoughts on the Vanguard list, because a lot of people I don't like the Warriors. Like they'll take the range stuff, but the range is like it's on 4s. You know, it's not the greatest. But the Wing Tyranid Prime being added to the Melee Warriors gives them the Vanguard keywords. Now they can get all the cool strats of not being targeted and being able to get picked up and stuff. It opens up so many options for them, and the Melee Warriors is actually not bad damage wise. So, and now they're going to be sustained hits too, because
that's sustained hits. I think that's the kick, the trick there.
Push them over the top. Voniar's Leapers, I was pretty. I guess I was a bit underwhelmed with them when I saw them in the previous index. I thought they were fine objective clearers, but they weren't going to be. They weren't shaking the foundations of the world like Reavers used to. Sorry, not Reavers. Serpent Warriors.
The Raveners.
Raveners. They weren't shaking the world like Raveners were in the previous iteration of the game. So I thought I thought they were like a pseudo like Ravener light variant. Are they worth taking 3 units of, as John has in this variant?
I want to see him make them worthwhile, because I haven't found them to be. I think they have some really cool tech pieces. In the Vanguard, they have more tricks, and again, like I said, there's a lot to unpack here with what because they are Vanguard. So they open up a lot of different play types you can have with not being targeted. So you can have like 1, even 2 units out, because he does have a Tyrant in there. You can have 2 units out there in the open, not getting shot. So he can actually pick and choose a couple ones that are going to either be tying stuff up, or they are good at assassinating characters in melee as well, because they are precision. So there are a lot of things you can do with it. And it's this right here. A lot of people are looking at Vanguard and they're like, oh, this is just hyper aggressive. It's like, no. Vanguard is finesse. Like, this is going to be
shenanigans.
It is a shenanigans list. Very much shenanigans.
So a lot of the time at the moment, we're judging, and a lot of people are looking at codexes and indexes and judging them by the best units that they have, their Death Star equivalents, their best damage output units. I'm starting to flip it, and I'm judging them by their nonsense.
100%.
What are the little nonsense mission play units that you get in your faction, and how good are they? And I gotta say, the Tyranid ones are blowing me out of the water. The 2 single Ripper Swarms, the single Biovore, and the 3 Neurolictors are ridiculously cheap value propositions. Each one of those 6 units I just reeled off could contribute 5 points to your overall score each in a game, and that's 30 freaking points you've just slapped down onto your end score for these little nonsense units.
The Von Ryan Lictors are they're cheap for what they are too. They're actually they were pretty well costed. And this is the other thing too, like the Hunting Grounds, because you put it on here, I can talk about it. Do you know what that does?
Nah, I couldn't remember.
Tell us.
So this is the one that every single time a unit comes in from Deep Strike on your opponent's thread, 2 up, and they have to take a battle shock.
Yep.
Just
so
because you came in. That GSC don't
seeing
like
a Tyrion, you're like, whoa, that is a big thing.
Yeah. Like, whoa.
That's actually hilarious.
That was not in the brief.
That is impressive. Like you think about people bringing like Inceptors and things like that to go and steal backfield objectives, and you'd be like, "Yep, cool, you're OC0. You got the objective.
How I'm going to come and use all these strats on this really tough unit to kill something." No, you're not.
Yeah.
I think everybody that's been complaining that Battleshock doesn't mean anything, play against this. We'll see how much.
3 Neurolictors. I mean, look, why
the Neurolictors?
Like 3 of them.
Yep. They're cheap lictors. They're the ones that actually have the invul now. The old lictors don't anymore, and they're the ones that they also. I think it's either they cause battle shock or they give -1 to battle shock. So
Yes,
there's a lot of battle
yeah.
shock and shenanigans in this too. Like, it's not just about killing stuff. This is about making sure your opponent doesn't score while you score. So, like I said, shenanigans, right?
Yeah, that shift also about just how to score the missions, how to score the points.
Yep.
Those are things that generals are now focusing towards, which is kind of like showing the edition is starting to mature a little bit, even in its early stages here.
Absolutely. And if he really does need to kill something, he has 6 zone threats that he's probably going to have in reserve.
And the Maliceptors and the Exo
And the Maliceptors.
and the Warriors.
Yeah. Maliceptors don't benefit anything from this detachment, really, but it doesn't matter. The zone throws, because they're in Vanguard, they can come in turn 1, though.
Enough of this Tyranid.
No, I'm talking about some more.
Everyone expects them to be great because they just got the first codex of this new edition. But what's brand new in this next list we're going to be talking about?
So next up we have Steve Trimble's list, and the whole reason I pulled this one out here is because he's freaking playing Death Guard. So there's a top player in attendance playing Death Guard, which we have not seen for this edition almost well, maybe once or twice this edition, but they've been very few and far between. He's got his Play Company detachment, and it stands as thus: 3 Biologist Putrefiers, Mortarion, because at 325 points he's an absolute bargain, a Tallyman, 6 units of 10 Plague Marines in 6 Rhinos, and 2 units of Nurglings. So it is Rhino, Rush, Mech Spam, Plague Marines. And I wish there were 7-mans, because it would make it a little bit more themey for me, and there were 7 units of 7 guys and 7 Rhinos. But this is still extremely exciting to me that they get to push this archetype again. And it looks pretty good. Do you guys know what Biologist Putrefiers do?
No. Oh, wait. Isn't that the Flamer? Or is that not the Flamer?
So it is not the Flame, it's the Grenade guy.
Oh, it's the Grenade, that's right.
So it gets once per game a free use of Grenade on them and their unit. So each one of those will be adjoined to, of course, Plague Marines. And then they give lethal hits and then crits on a 5+ instead of a 6. So lethal hits on a 5. And then in addition, of course, to some of the other Death Guard buffs as well. So the whole unit that they join get critical hits on 5s. Instead of 6s, and it gives lethal hits as well. So lethal hits 5s, and then criticals on 5s, or any other strats you can put on them. I believe there's a way to give them sustained as well through some contagions. But yeah, very, very, very good. I think it's only 50-55 points for those guys now, so extremely good utility character that is still rocking toughness 5 with 4 wounds, and has their Hyper Blight Grenades, which is like D6 shots at 5-1-2. But only 12-inch range. It is, I think, a pretty good steal. He's also got the Tallyman in there for a little bit of extra utility. The unit that the Tallyman joins give +1 to hit, both shooting and combat. And you do roll for the 7 to get a CP still. But there's no reason to take more than one of those, because you can only get 1 CP if you roll the 7. So really, really cool list, and I'm very excited to see how Death Guard can do now. I don't think they're going to be pushing it for the top tier just yet, but it is a whole new lease on life, and they should be able to contend pretty well.
It's basically a new index.
Oh, entirely, yeah. The full refresh button has been hit on that. Do you think this kind of list could be a problem for some armies?
I mean, they're not going to be ready for it, that's for sure. Having that many Plague Marines.
Sometimes, yeah, on that, like basically all over the place. All the Rhinos, the couple of Nurglings hiding behind, could be Rhino walls. Can't see them. I mean,
they're also going to be shooting at Rhinos for at least the first couple turns, right? Unless you want to shoot a Mortarion and get nothing done.
Yes, spot on. Waste your time. Congrats. This is 120 wounds at toughness 5 in Plague Marines. So that's not nothing. If you are just bringing bolt guns or strength 4 etc. weapons, or you're not bringing strength 10, like it's 4s or 5s, sorry, 4s or 3s. There's nobody's winning these guys on 2s outside some of the biggest heavy hitting weapons in the game.
Mm-hmm.
This is going to be tough to pick a winner. So at this point in the show where we pick either a faction or a player, of course, by proxy, a faction that's going to win this thing. And this is a stacked event, even though it's only the number of players that it is and the number of rounds that it is. And this is also the first week that we're not banning Eldari for ourselves.
Correct.
Yep.
Correct. I know Dustin's going to pick Tyranids. I've already written it in, Dustin.
Yeah, just put that in. Just lock that in right now.
Paul, you want to take a shake?
I'm going to pick the 1 Gene-Stealer cult.
Ooh,
I mean, any pick here is good because they're all like top players. So
yeah, exactly right. I'm gonna be the guy who breaks the hoodoo. I'm gonna go Eldari.
Oh.
I left it open for you because
now
we're sometimes too proud to pick.
If you If you watch our part 2, if you're a wonderful, lovely patron and watch the part 2 for that covered the last 2 weeks of scores, you know why I'm picking Eldar. I need to bank some points for my pride.
Next event we're going to be covering is RatCon from Ballarat, Victoria in Australia. 91 players, a 5-round event.
It's right over there for me. Like,
Jeez,
and by right
right
over there, it's like an hour and 25-minute drive. But it's right over
there.
just over there. Yeah, right.
Just
Are you
hop on
can
and
you
drop
make
there.
it?
I'm actually not going to this event because there is a Horus Heresy event I'm going to this same weekend.
Oh,
So,
nice.
yeah. Really
What do you think
excited
about
for
that new character model that just dropped?
Dude, he's freaking sick.
Yeah.
With the new Mark Marines coming out as well, I look perfect. I've got
Yeah.
so many units that I want to make out of that now.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah, tell us what we're going to see there.
Give us the breakdown.
All right, so 91 players, 5 rounds. The quick and dirty stats for the Imperial Super Faction. There is 2 Sisters of Battle, 8 Custodes, 1 Admech, 6 Astra Militarum, 2 Grey Knights, and 5 Imperial Knights. Space Marines, there's 5 Adeptus Astartes, 1 Dark Angel, 1 Space Wolf, 3 Death Watch, and 1 Black Templar. Chaos, there's 5 Chaos Space Marines, 6 T-Suns, 3 Death Guard, 2 World Eaters, 4 Demons, and 4 Chaos Knights. Xenos, there's 9 Necrons, 3 Orcs, 2 Tau, and 2 Votan. Hive Mind, there's 6 Tyranids and 2 Genes to their cult. You can really see the change in the meta at that point right there.
Yep.
Eldari, there's 2 Drukhari and 6 Eldari, meaning the faction podium is Necrons topping it off with 9. Custodes is the second with 8. And then Nids, T-Suns, Eldari, and Guard tied in third with 6. What do we think about
change?
This? Yeah, that's a big change.
And perfectly point out the microcosm of the Hive Mind super faction is really well. One faction just got one of the bigger nerfs of the edition so far, and the other one just got a new codex. So the flip in all those so many Hive Mind players play both of those factions, and they'd be looking to be like, do I want to play the list that I've been playing for the last 3 months exclusively that just got nerfed, or play this entire new book of cool, awesome stuff? And case in point, the Necrons on the rise, not surprising to many. They're seen as one of the biggest. While they didn't get directly buffed much, they have the biggest backhanded buffs, as in the things that were keeping them down all got hit. And ostensibly, the damage output of the game got reduced wholesale. And devastating wounds via mortal wounds, which is the previous incarnation, was one of the best ways to deal with Lich Guard, Necron Warriors, etc., etc. And with those going away wholesale, Necrons are a lot of people looking at to be one of the big bads of the coming couple of months. What do you make of the rest?
It doesn't surprise me too much. I actually think that World Eaters did get quite a big glow, not a massive glow, but if you play them right, they can actually compete in the meta right now for a little bit more. So I like seeing a little rise in them. Same with Death Guard. Obviously, they got some adjustments. So even if they're not at the place that the Death Guard players want them to be, at least they give them the confidence to start bringing them out again, which I like to see as well. Yeah. T-Suns being up there surprised me, actually.
Me too.
Because they took a pretty significant hit, but they didn't drop that much.
No,
in terms of player base.
The things that they do are still very good. It's just their points went up a bit, right?
I think their damage output is still fairly the same.
The damage output is the same, but they lost, I think. Well, actually, I think it'll equal out to maybe like one, maybe 2 5-man Rubric squads.
Yeah,
I think that's what it ended up being, which may not seem like a lot, but to T-Suns already being a fairly elite army, it does make a difference. Or they drop Magnus, but I think Magnus is still pretty important.
With the damage output going down, Magnus got better, I think. I genuinely think Magnus is better now than he was before. But I like Paul said, that their damage output is amazingly good, and their biggest predator, Eldar, the best tool Eldar had for annihilating them, is now no longer there. So we will see how the T-Suns come out with it. The other one is the Chaos Space Marines on the rise also. A lot of people are expecting Chaos Space Marines to be a mover and shaker, because whilst they went up in points, they actually got a internal rebalance. That means they come out almost the same in that couple of their utility units, Raptors, Warp Talons, things like that. The Nurglings they were bringing, etc., all went down. So they actually kind of almost came out the same, maybe a little bit 50, 60 points up on where they were. But
I got a buddy who expects the Chaos Space Marines to be the next Eldari. Is basically as soon as
they are looking really good. I'm actually a little worried about them. Playing against them.
Well, let us look at a couple of lists in attendance. The first up is the big yabby himself, Mark Caruana. He's playing Orcs, and I just wanted to say that, if people are sleeping on Orcs, this is a reason not to, because this list is alive and well and a problem. He's got 2 Beast Boss, one with Cunning but Brutal, the other one with Follow Me Lads, 3x10 Beast Snagger Boys, and 5x10 Boys, all being toted around in 6 trucks and 2 big tracks, 3 units of 10 Gretchen, 3 single mech guns with custom mega cannons, and 3x5 Storm Boys. And that's a lot of lads. That's a hell of a lot of lads in metal boxes.
Are we back to the transport meta? Is this what this is coming to? We saw 6 rhinos, the Death Guard list before. Now we're seeing 6 trucks in orcs. Do I get to bring 6 Goliaths? No, I don't.
No, the Goliaths do not, unfortunately. But yeah, this is an archetype you can push, and the ability for orcs to pull this lever now. Once again, damage has gone down. People won't be killing 4 of these transports a turn anymore, like they were previously in some matchups. They're actually going to get to use their toys and their boys a little bit more. I'm really excited to see how big a mover and shaker orcs can be as well. But what do you guys make of it?
I mean,
go ahead, Paul.
2 fewer like war bosses I would expect in this list. Like that's what we've kind of seen. So I'm kind of curious as to what they chose to bring those points out into. Maybe the extra mech guns, maybe the extra strong boys. Going for function on the tabletop other than just raw power.
Yeah. So
the points of the beast bosses went up, so maybe they just took out one of the war bosses to kind of make up for it.
So the Storm Boys all went down.
Okay.
But the trucks went up by 10 each. I can't remember how much the big tracks went up by. It was at least 10, and then the beast bosses went up by 10. So they're still bringing the same archetype, but exactly right, Paul. They lost essentially a whole war boss. A minimum 1 entire war boss got cut from this list to play the same archetype. But the archetype got better, is what I'm saying. Really, really, really cool to see what they can do. But the thing is, the thing that this list was preying on the most, the biggest and best thing about this list was that it was good into GSC. This archetype was good into GSC, I think was what they were saying.
Yep. And Tyranids too.
Exactly right. If you're bringing a swarm of little dudes, this thing is going to beat you because you need to expose your better units to get through the toughness check of the transports, and then all your little guys get swarmed and annihilated by the boys. So I think this is going to be quite a good list, but I think this is a list where you have to, like we always used to say, pick your go turn perfectly. If you pick your go turn right, you shut down a whole turn of your opponent's primary and secondary ability by, they draw the wrong cards because you positioned well with what they had left in their deck. You just crack a game. You just win it by 15 points, cruise to victory.
Yep, I can see that.
Next one we're going to talk about here, Dean Sinbeck, a gentleman from Blog for the Blood God, playing World Eaters, and he is a Chaos specialist, and I was really excited to see.
We were just talking about World Eaters.
We were.
Exactly right, mate.
Ironic.
You're onto it. He's got Angry Ron, a Chaos Lord on Juggernaut, 10 Jackals, 2 units of 3 8-bound, 3 Exalted 8-bound, and 2 Lords of freaking Skulls.
This is the most elite World Eater list I've ever seen. This is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I actually really like this list.
I actually think it's going to surprise people by how good it's going to be.
Yeah, I think so. It's actually going to deal a lot of damage, and because it's a close combat based list, you have to kill it quickly or you'll die.
I mean, 2 Lord of Skulls is, I was about to say, how did the other stuff get there? It's like, well, because people are going to be tied up trying to deal with those Lord of Skulls.
Lord of Skulls and Angron, yeah, exactly right.
And Angron,
and so the what is being said right now is that the Lord of Skulls is actually one of the things that benefited from the change to towering. One of the very few things that benefited from the change of towering, because it's a melee unit. People are saying the same things about the Rampages and the Galleons, because it's predominantly, it wants to get in combat, especially in the World Eaters faction. And it was very, very, very hard to hide from your opponent because of the platform, because of how big it is. But now it can hide, and then when it chooses to, just tap in and not get shot. So it's a melee, you use it as a melee unit, and you can actually have it not get blown up turn 1. And in this list, as you can see, very small footprint. There are tables out there where you can have Angry Ron in reserve if you wanted to, and be able to hide 2 Lord of Skulls. And so that is, I think, part of the levers that are trying to be pulled here. And then when they want, they can just toe in to get the shots that they need to get.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting.
I like that. We will see.
I actually really like this list. I really like this list.
What I just said is people theorizing about these units, because naturally no one's had many games. No one's had many games.
Play it on the table.
Stuff. Exactly. Yeah.
So what's winning this thing? Who's winning this thing?
Oof. there are. It's gonna roll the dice. I'll go first. I know some extremely good players are bringing a multitude of different lists. I'm going to back my boy Matt Morrisoli in the event though, and go for Chaos Knights.
Chaos. I'm going Eldari on this
Hey,
one.
you already know he was there. That's cheating.
Yeah.
That's cheating.
Well, Stuttle Scrub's coming up, mate, and you're literally the TO of the event. So if you pick wrong, you suck.
I mean,
I'm taking the Eldari this time. I'm also behind
fair.
on points.
That's fair.
You guys go. I'll go last, but you have to listen to the Patreon to find out why. But you can guess, right?
What's your pick for this tournament?
I am going to go. I'm going to go Custodes.
Yeah, not a bad pick either.
Solid performance. Curious to see how the changes from the balance slate affected them.
Yeah, I feel like it'll reduce their squad sizes a bit, but I think Guardian spam and Warden spam and Alara spam still a thing.
Things with points too.
Yeah.
This is the point in the show where we would say, listen to one of our lovely sponsors. But we're going to say we sponsor ourselves this time. We actually have a Patreon where you can go and also show some support for the show. Get you access to part 2 that we do most weeks, where we recap what our predictions from the weeks. You can influence the Fuegos. You can see the show notes. There's all kind of stuff you can do, and you say it's like, hey, tip of the hat, saying, keep on doing the show. Every tier is awesome.
Legit. I think I did about 2 hours of work on this one this week, and then Dustin did an hour, and then Josh did like half an hour to 45 minutes combined, and then we record the damn thing. So it is like literally about 8-9 hours of work across 4 people to get this done every week. It's literally a day shift at a factory to get this thing out every week. So yeah, anything you can contribute and assist us with, that'll be greatly appreciated.
Next event we're covering is the one we just talked about, the Stutter Snotling. It's in Guelph, Ontario.
How do you say it, mate?
Guelph.
Guelph.
No, Guelph.
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 I've heard it all.
Guelph.
Guelph. Guelph.
Yeah.
Why'd you spell it stupid then, Dustin?
I didn't spell it.
Well, you're from there, so there's no one else that we can
I am
blame.
actually from there. That's where I was born.
It's your fault.
Oh, 140 players, 28 teams of 5 round. What's going on over there?
All right. So again, because it's a team event, you will not see any more than 28 in representation of any faction. So we're going to see what the meta what the balance of this things like did to the meta, because normally we don't see many over 50%. That's the big thing. But lately, Eldari, GSC, I think Custodes have been breaking the 50% mark pretty regularly. So it'll be interesting to see what it actually looks like now. So the Imperial Super Faction, there are 2 Sisters of Battle, 14 Custodes right at 50%. 3 AdMech, 6 Astra Militarum, 5 Grey Knights, 9 Imperial Knights. Space Marines, there's 5 Adeptus Astartes, 3 Dark Angels, 1 Space Wolf, 3 Blood Angels, 4 Black Templars. Chaos, there's 11 Chaos Space Marines, 3 T-Suns, 4 Death Guard, 4 War Leaders, 6 Demons, and 7 Chaos Knights. Xenos, there's 13 Necrons, just below that halfway point, 3 Orcs, 3 Tau, 4 Votan. Hive Mind, there's 8 Tyranids, 6 Genes they're called, and then here we go, the Eldari, 1 Drukhari, 13 Eldari, below 50%. We did it.
Yay.
We did it. Which means
so by all accounts, the Eldari seem to have gotten a nerf.
Yeah, it seems that way. At least people believe it, or at least that's half the people that were playing them believe it.
That's at least 20% taken off their numbers
for
the weekend so far that we have covered. Let's hope 20% gets taken off their win rate as well.
We'll see. That means the faction podium is Custodes topping it off with 14, then Eldari and Necrons tied in second with 13, Chaos Space Marines with the respectable 11 in third place. So, I mean, Necrons also supposedly got a nerf, and they're still up. They were top in the charts this week. So,
it's interesting to see Custodes staying so strong across the entire week's events, whereas a lot of people have been quite down. I mean, in fact, we've got, I think KR in chat is pretty much of the same mindset that they took a pretty decent nerf. I would like to say, especially in teams events, they are extremely strong still.
Right. Yeah, I think they're actually very important to bring in the team event because they could be a bully list to a lot of factions out there.
So I think the pivot that they're now being forced into was actually better for custody players anyway. Maybe not in
Mhm.
teams list when the big, kind of meat mountain, big old blobs of 10 custody warriors could really just unga bunga carry you through, certain matchups. But the new kind of MSU pivot that they're going to have to do, or the what I like to call the MMU, the multiple medium sized units, the 5s and the 6 custody guards, because I'm not sure you can call 4 custodies anything a small unit. They're custodies. They're freaking
No,
toughness, a
really.
bajillion with a
Big
bajillion
bases,
wounds.
lots of
Yeah,
wounds. Yeah.
exactly. It's a multiple medium unit, the multiple medium unit archetype, which is kind of what they're pivoting. I think that is going to be a better thing for them long run anyway, because of the way the game looks to be going. With the damage output going down across the game, those are not as threatened as they were. Like, you had the 10-mans that were losing 6, sometimes 7 a turn to some armies, Acolyte bombs and some Eldar BS at times picking up, Custody Guard. That's not going to happen anywhere near as much anymore. So the medium units may be where it's at anyway.
Yeah, I think that's actually, you lead heavily to that with the Custodes, because I don't think the vehicle, like the Dreadnought build of the old, was the way to go anymore. The what the heck are those bikes called? I can't even remember. The bikes that
Praetor.
have salvo, thank you, the Praetors. I don't think they're the way to go either, just because
Nah.
the MMU build of Custodes right now is just so, it lets you. It's the secondary game that they struggle with, right? And the MMU lets you do that a lot better.
Yeah, because they already play the primary game so
Yeah,
well.
absolutely.
So you don't need to like have 10-mans to play the primary better. Who's
Exactly, yeah.
pushing on Custodes wholesale in a threatening manner? Maybe Angry Ron and his 2 Lord of Skulls, but apart from that, maybe. But I pointed out in chat, KR has asked, he's assumed that the 14 Custodes must means it's pre-nerf. But hey, we got the TO, mate. Is the data slate in effect?
Oh, it's 100% in effect.
Fair.
Everything here is new, the newest of the new. And I'm very excited and nervous, but I have been reading everything to make sure I can judge on it properly.
Paul,
Was it-
quickly pivoting to talk about Space Marines for a hot second there, mate. Like, what do you think happened to them in the data slate? Where do you think the balance of power will lie? Because it's pretty obvious that Deathwatch ain't it.
Yeah, Deathwatch. Yeah, I mean, they were the go-to for a while with all the mortal wounds and stuff. It's like,
for
it
sure.
seems, yeah. What happened? Where are Space Marine players going to go now?
Yeah, I'm really interested to see. I personally think Templars look phenomenal out of the gates, with just the amount of value they can bring to the
We saw
table.
them do really well last week too. I mean,
Correct.
in a top 10 in a big tournament.
But I mean, like, what's the date on the codex? Like, how much should we invest?
It's got to be weeks out at this point, right? It's coming.
It's got to be. Well, I have no concrete anything, but you would assume sometime in the next month to 6 weeks
Yeah.
at the absolute outside. And so, how hard do Space Marine players want to go at the moment? Are you just going to tread water on some bits and pieces and wait to see what tomorrow brings? But anyway, we have 2 teams to break down for you guys. The first up is Blood Force Trauma, and I have leaned heavily on Dustin here to get the right teams and right lists.
Yeah, so the
to
Blood
look
Force
at.
Trauma team is probably the favorite to win. They're always a top performing team. They have a couple Team Canada players on there, so it's a very, very tough team.
Well, their 5-pack is comprised of Custodes, Necrons, Eldari, Tyranids, and Chaos Space Marines. And you would be hard pressed to argue that there is a better combination of 5 at the moment. I mean, but there are some legitimate arguments you can make. If you don't want to take Custodes and Necrons, because they can play a pretty similar kind of durability skew build, you could chuck out the Custodes for a Knights, say. I'd probably go Chaos Knights at the moment. Or you could try and do something left of field and take out either one of those, or take out the Chaos Space Marines and chuck in something wonky like a full rush Orc list to go with a Endless Swarm Tyranid build per se.
Yeah, absolutely. The Endless Swarm Tyranid build is, but again, we got to remember too, because this is the new Tyranid Codex in here. It means that all your Gaunt carpet has to be on 28 mils. So I think only one person was brave enough to do it. Everybody else has done either like a Vanguard. There's a lot of Synaptic Nexus. There's a couple of them too, which is I think that's a popular one as well. So it's interesting to see. I'm pretty sure this one is Synaptic as well. Yeah, this one's a Synaptic Nexus.
That's your favorite. I think at least it was, right?
It is my favorite right now, because I'm a Zoanthrope fan. I just like the feel of it. Vanguard will be one that I'll be testing a lot, like playing a lot, like on the DL while I figure it out. But Synaptic Nexus would be the one I'd be bringing to tournaments, I think.
All right, we have one list from Blunt Force Trauma to give to you guys. Paul, would you like to read it out if you can be bothered?
Oh, here we go. Let me see if I can find it here. Chris Staines with the doing Custodies with the Shield Host, 2 Blade Champions, which we didn't think were going to maybe still be in the list. 4x4 Custodian Guard, 5 Prosecutors, 2x2 Alaris, 2x2, 2x5 Wardens, and then a Calidus.
So this is case in point exactly what we mean about the MMU. So what's it got? 4x4. It's got 16 Custodian Guard. It's still got 10 Wardens, still 2x2 Alaris. Of course, the Blade Champs will probably almost certainly be going with the Wardens, and they'll be your rumble in the middle kind of units with the Custodian Guard and support. Alaris coming into backfield or front field depending on what you pull off the top of your deck. And still taking a Calidus, boys. A lot of people saying that it's lost a lot of power, but it also went down 20, 25 freaking points. Like it didn't lose, a sixth of its utility.
No.
It's still really good.
Yeah. I actually, this is exactly the build we were talking about, like you said. So I feel like this is, I mean, I'm not going to say it's the optimal Custode build, but the idea behind it, I think, is the way to do it for sure.
Yeah,
like maybe if it's more Custode Guard, more Wardens, more Alaris, I don't know, but this is the way to go, the MMU build for sure. And then, of course, like Prosecutors being the cheaper way to go instead of what the heck are they called? The Exaction Squads, now that they went up?
Yeah. I've seen people starting to take Inquisitorial Henchmen now for the 40-point option in that slot.
Right.
So we'll see if that catches on.
Boys Men at Arms. Also.
Yeah, man. Absolutely. All right, but I do think this is a very good place for people to start who were locked into that similar infantry heavy build, and because I do think there's a case to be looking at for Calidus grav tanks in singles, or possibly I don't have a great beat on the Forge World stuff. Like how good I know Venatari and Thatcharium went down, but I don't know how good that makes them. Do you guys have any?
Flying, I mean, you put something of fast movement on something that, or a unit, an army that does not have a lot of movement.
I thought the Venatari, didn't they have like a free rapid ingress that they could basically all do? I think that's what their special ability was. Because I'm pretty sure they could all rapid ingress, and it says even if it's been done, but doesn't limit it to once per turn. So it's, I feel like that could have been a trick with them. I think I read something about that.
Interesting. Would the Data Slate shut that down then if it's not a battle tactic?
Well, it's not, but it's not like the. Oh, I guess it does do that, doesn't it? Because it doesn't make it 0. Yeah, okay, that's why. There he goes.
Easy done. That's
what it is. People were taking that because of that, and then Data Slate shut that down.
There you go. All right. The next team we're going to be looking at is Scotch Hammer, and their 5-pack also has Custodes and Eldari, but then it has Orcs, Chaos Knights, and Imperial Knights. So they're pushing the mech skew there.
Stuff. Now, Scotch Hammer, they're not there to win. They are just an awesome team of guys, and I wanted them to get their time in the sun because I love these guys, and they're bringing.
Oh, happy to do it.
Yeah. It's a great honor to highlight some absolute legends of the community. We have pulled out both of the night lists because they can both almost be done with a single breath, and I'm going to do that right now. We have a Noble Lance with a Crusader, Errant, 4 Helverins, and 3 Warglaves. That is Mutton Sudden. Then we have Jake Stevanis with his Trader Lance, 2 War Dogs, 6 Brigands, 1 Huntsman, 2 Carnivores, 1x3 Flamers, 3x3 Nurglings, and the Changeling. What were the 2 War Dogs at the top though?
The 2 War Dogs.
I'm assuming they're stalkers.
Oh, I think they were stalkers.
You have to have some characters. So
I'll bring them up right now. Keep talking. Riff at them. I'll figure it out right now.
Really interested to see the Errant making a look in here as the knight of choice to go with the Crusader. I would have thought it'd still be the Warden and or Canis Rex. A Crusader and Canis seem to be a decent plug-in. How are you feeling about knights at the moment? It is, yeah. What does the Errant do, boys?
They're stalkers. Stalkers, yes, sorry.
Yeah, I'd assume they were stalkers. What does the Errant do? What's his bondman ability?
Look it up right now. I've not played with an Errant.
Yep, I'm trucking my way down as it speaks. Good thing the night book. There's only so many data slates to go through. Whilst this model affected by this ability, you can reroll advanced rolls made for that model, and its ranged attacks have the assault ability. So they'd be slapping that down on the 4 Helverins. Exactly right. So the Helverins would all be getting buffed by a Crusader for +1 BS, and then the other 2 or 1 would get buffed by the Errant for advance and shoot. So get around some corners with their autocannons. That doesn't seem awful, but it seems to be a very particular build. There is a lot of hype rising for Chaos Knights at the moment, gents. You guys hearing about it?
No.
Yeah, so with Battleshock ostensibly being back on the menu with the change to the auto pass stratagem, there are people actually getting a lot of hype around it, and the fact that you still get to take 12 to 13 little knights, it can be extremely overwhelming. And the points almost came out as net neutral. Brigands went up, Carnivores went down. So you're taking less of the Huntsmans, less of the Stalkers, because if you just take the same 6 Brigands and then you take 3 or 4 Carnivores, it offsets all the points that the Brigands went up. And so it comes out pretty much net exactly the same. Then you take your 1 or 2 Stalkers for your 12 baby knights, and then you can take your Changeling and your Nurglings and your junk like that if you want to.
Right.
Meaningful morale phase. Here we
Yeah,
go.
very much so. You're seeing a lot more lists lean into the Battleshock shenanigans.
They did promise. They promised
Did
us,
promise.
guys.
They
the morale
promised.
would matter. They promised.
But is
It took 'em
Battleshock technically morale? It's called something different. I don't know.
But yeah, we will see, because Chaos Knights, people are talking about them as if they might be the spoiler. They might be the spoiler because, I mean, they're one of the lists that doesn't have to kill 20 Necron Warriors in order to compete.
That's
Just be
true.
like, I'm going to make it take 3 Battleshock tests at Neg 1, and you fail any one of them, the job's done. I don't need to kill you.
Yeah.
You know? Can't hold
That's
objectives.
actually something that people need to forget, too. And the Vanguard list that we're talking about with John Lennon earlier on, that's exactly what that list can do. It messes with your morale enough that it doesn't need to kill you necessarily.
Spot on. Paul, Dante does that as well, yeah? He does. He has a point you.
Does he?
Be shook.
Yeah, be shook. Yeah, I think you're exactly right. We actually were discussing about what like how to sanguinary guard on the last the part 2 of our show. And I think we're going to talk about some sanguinary guard abilities, but also describe what actual Dante does. And his ability is the Death Math of Sanguinius. At the start of the fight phase, an enemy unit within 6 inches model must take a Battleshock test, subtracting 1 from the test when they do that. So,
yeah,
perfect. So,
yeah, I like that too. I've actually been toying with a Patriarch in my list too, just because he has an aura of making people take Battleshock at the beginning of the fight phase too. Rapid Ingress Sim, 12-inch bubbles, like, hey, everybody take a Battleshock test.
If you can't, naturally you can't see this right now, but Josh, our producer, is flipping off Dustin because I think he was on the receiving end of such a tactic.
Maybe. I don't know what you're talking about.
Never heard of it.
It may or may not have worked. It is a -1 to the Battleshock as well.
How does picking a winner work here, Paul?
So here we actually choose who we think is going to have the squad or the faction we think is going to have the highest battle point. Not necessarily winning the event or on the podium, but what individual faction has the highest battle points. That's how we do team events, because we can't possibly do all the justice for all the teams because they're they're too awesome and too varied.
Correct. Who went first last one? I think I went first last one, so I think it's Dustin's turn to go first.
Oh, you already put Tyranids first for me on the last one, so
it's true.
I'll go last.
So it's Paul's chance to go
I'm
first.
going Necrons.
That's a damn good pick.
There we go. Production is actually representing you then.
I'm going to go Chaos Space Marines.
Yeah, get a bunch of battle points.
Dustin, with the insider knowledge, what do you want?
With the insider knowledge, you say?
You ride in NIDS again?
I'm not, actually.
Ooh.
I'm not.
Yeah?
I'm going with Genes to the Cult.
Oh, have you got some of your proteges in the field? Are you coaching them, mate?
Maybe.
With old Dustin here with his finger on the BCP button, flat tracking his boys. I see how it is, and that's fine.
There we go. Here at the end of the show, we have a special segment we call the Fuego Rapido. This is something we give a little bit of a palate cleanser. Sometimes it has very little to do with Warhammer 40,000. Sometimes it has everything to do with Warhammer 40,000. We don't know what the topics are until we put them up on the screen and we start a clock and we give ourselves 2 minutes to talk about each topic. This is where it gets silly, everybody. If you're brand new here, thanks for listening. Thanks for listening to the very end. And here, again, we kind of have fun a little bit.
Gotta have
What
fun.
is the deal with this one? Oh, here we go.
Oh, right.
After the data slate, rate these units stud or scrub here in a little reference to the event coming up on this weekend.
That's right. So each one of these, you got to just tell if it's a stud or scrub and why.
I think
Avatar Kane.
Avatar of Kane. This is the first one.
I say stud. I
wanted to do Incarn, but I think that one's too obvious.
Still a stud.
Yeah.
Avatar. Yeah, I think the Avatar King gets overshadowed by the fact the Incarn exists and has that glorious death or whatever, inevitable death as that ability.
Yeah.
But on the Avatar, still very much a stud.
Yeah, I think the Avatar
Avatar
Arcane was being slept on previously. I did see some of the top players in the world with their Eldar list taking the Avatar along with the Incarn in some. I thought the Avatar Arcane was absolutely
before
phenomenal.
the data slate change or after?
Yeah, before.
Do you think that the increase on points of the Incarn kind of puts the Avatar of Cain out of it, or makes him even more valuable?
I think it makes it more palatable because I think
Really?
it's something very relevant.
There were
to do with
double
the
Avatar
points.
lists out there.
Yeah,
There are, yes, absolutely, and I think that could actually have a good impact. Because I like the duality. I really like the duality. That's why I like the that World Leaders later with both the Lord of Skulls and Angron. I like that duality. I don't like having just one to do those kind of like shenanigans or close combat with. Having the duality of a couple of them, it makes a big difference having the double threat.
yeah, and I think they're colloquially being called Bash Bros now when you take the Incarn and the Avatar Arcane, and I'm all about Mighty Duck references in our great gaming community. So continue, stud.
But can they both get in there now with points? I guess maybe we'll see with the new Eldaris.
That's why I was wondering, because the Incarn did go up a little bit. The Incarn is still worth it at those points. I don't think you ever drop the Incarn.
It's
really.
The Incarn has the best data sheet ability in the game.
Yeah,
like it's you can almost put it at 500, and some crazy people would still take it.
Oh, yeah, I would. I mean, at that point, I wouldn't take the Avatar Arcane though. I think that's what
That's
so
and
that's
there it is.
Decision.
Yeah, I think that's
way
into that one.
Next one,
Custodian Wardens.
They went up 5 points per model, and they
dropped their squad
lost
size.
a member.
Yeah, they lost a member.
They lost a man, man down,
and they technically lost a bit of their tricks. I think it was the other custodian that
the double fights first,
the double fight first.
Yeah, and all that stuff.
KR in the chat. There was something with like the Tactica or something, like one of their tactics they couldn't do anymore.
But what else are you taking in the list?
Well, you have the Laris, you have maybe the Venatari, you have the Guardians.
Custody Guard, yeah. I still think they're. They used to be the best thing in the book, in my opinion. The Wardens were pre. I feel like
this is actually a hard one.
I think it is. 6 to 5, as KR says, doesn't really matter, and I don't think that touches the sides either. A 6 to a 5 wasn't breaking the bank. I think they're still.
I get these confused. Are these the skirts or no skirts?
Skirts.
Skirts.
Yeah. So I think they're scrubs, but you kind of still have to take them, which is weird.
That's an interesting take, and I don't think I disagree with it. Because
I think they're the tanky ones, the more defensive of what's in there.
I think
you still want them on an objective.
Yeah, I feel like actually KR kind of said it too. Like one unit, I think is good. It's because I wouldn't put them in a stud for sure. Not quite scrub, because you want to have at least one. I don't think like maybe two, but one for sure. So because they are durable, they're great for holding an objective.
Yeah, exactly right. So you get one unit and you push it into the middle and you make pieces of shooting, slap down the field, no pain, get through your opponent's hand, send them in and kill some stuff. Like it's just never going to be a bad play.
Right.
Oh,
Fuego. Next one. Ooh, the Tyrann effect. So
you gave us an easy one, boys.
I had to do one from each of our main factions too. The next couple. Tyrann effects is one that was probably one of the biggest staples before the point change, because
was only going up in power.
Was only going up in power. Like the Overwatch of that acid spray was just brutal. But now it has lost its permanent -1 damage in favor of a one-time reduction to 0 damage, which is far, far worse. I mean, arguably, there are situations where that will be better. There will be. And it is still a 2-up save T12 monster.
But it went up in points.
But it went up in points.
That's it. Its ability got worse and it went up in points.
Yeah.
There's a crazy, possibly very hard thing to say, but I'm going to say it anyway. The Tyrann effects, there are factions that got hit harder, but no single model got hit harder in the balance than the Tyrann effects.
I 100% agree with that.
So absolute scrub. Scrubbity scrub of scrubland.
Yeah.
I can't find conventional wisdom here on this.
See, okay, this is my problem with it. I put this in here because I do have a take on it. The Tyrant effects, with all these debuffs and everything, the point increase and the debuffs to his abilities, definitely hurt him a lot and puts him close to the scrub category. But he was still takeable. He was still takeable with what he was supposed to do until the Norn Emissary came at like 40 points more. Then it's like, okay, now the one thing I'd be taking you for, this is better at.
I'm just gonna put my OC 15 out here.
I'll just put my OC 15, 5 up, feel no pain, 4 up, Binval here instead.
Yeah. That's fair. That is fair. It's been super. In addition, you've just put that's the cherry on top. Not only has it gone up in points,
exactly,
lost its ability, it's been superseded. There is now a better thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, now we get to talk about a real.
Now we get to talk about something that Paul likes.
Sanguinary Guard. So melee is dead. Like, close combats happen all over the place, and Sanguinary Guard in close combat -1 to wound, and also the fact that now devastating wounds don't wipe out a unit.
Yeah,
it's going to wipe out one Sanguinary Guard. So all the way, couple changes of the game. Their base abilities are great. Rapid ingress is still a thing. Studs.
Yeah, I think one unit of Sangard is stud. You take a second one, scrub. when you get to the -1 to wound for having the Warlord in there, they level up. And 35 points per model. I wish you could take a more granular unit than just 5 or 10. Like, I mean, you could take 8. I guess you're still paying for 10, but when you go to 10, you're like, well, 350 points. That is a lot, especially when you're adding a 100-point Dante
all
or
the
whatever
melted pistols on there,
or yes, yeah, or can you put a jump pack challenge with him to give him +1 to wound? Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure you can, but
I don't know they can lead him. I don't think so.
It's
did they get enough of a blow up in the days that are or at least with the nerf devastating wounds that people will start taking them more now? Because I didn't used to see them in even Blood Angel list before.
Yeah,
now
I had Sam Procopio on my show reviewing the index, and he said I have to internally fight myself to take 5 in my lists because he loves them so much, like all Blood Angels players do. He's like, I have to battle with myself every time I type them into a list, and I take them because I'm a Blood Angels player, and that's right. That's the right way to do it. But yeah, I think they're a stud now for Blood Angels players. But if you looked at them in the context of the rest of the game, it's debatable,
I think they're a stud, but in the similar style to Wardens, you just take 1 squad.
Yeah.
We're out of time. You get to use their armor now. You didn't use it before.
Hey, stop talking about it, Paul.
Lionel Johnson.
I love that. Breaking my heart.
Lionel Johnson, Adam.
Lion who?
Lion who?
He sucks. I love him dearly. I love the model. The rules suck. He doesn't do anything.
Did he suck before, or does he suck now?
He had a fringe reason to take him because he was actually a better and a decent tool into devastating wounds because he gives you an aura of 4 up feel no pain against mortals, and so you could just rock around shrugging off Wraith Knights at times. Whereas now that has declined in value enormously, and so yeah, look, what are his other abilities? You get once per turn. If they use a stratagem within 12, you can mess with it. Each time it makes a melee attack, you get +1 to hit in 6 inches in melee. You can kind of get that from you don't need it. Oath of Moment plagues that hole. And yeah, 4+ aura, feel no pain against mortal wounds. I mean, he's an absolute freaking juggernaut. At toughness 9, -1 to wound and 3+ invulnerable save. He is a unit of Terminators by himself, but he also costs the amount as a unit of Terminators. So I think he's a scrub, unfortunately. I haven't written a single list with him in it in months, and I love that
next
guy.
edition.
I love him dearly. At least our one has a model, mate. Your one's
shots fired.
It's right. It's right. But yeah, what do you guys think? You guys got anything to add on the line? Devil's advocating me.
I can't advocate for him after you just pushed him off the edge. Like I can't. I'm not grabbing his hand. I'm sorry. He's a scrub right now. And again, I love him too. The model is actually great. I was excited to see him. He finally gets rules on the table, and he doesn't see it.
Mm-hmm.
It is interesting how this change has kind of benefited the whole game, has made some unit choices a little bit different, but that's the end of our show. That is also the end of the Fuego. It's the end of our show. That we are at the end. We've made it. We've done another live show. And if you listen to us after the fact, don't forget to leave those 5-star reviews. Leave us a thumbs up, and we really appreciate it.
That was episode 20, boys, of the Warhammer Meta Chasers. So congratulations. We've kicked over another milestone. We'll crack on. Nowhere to go but to 50 from here. Let's go.
Yep, 50's
Picking
the
it
next
up.
one.
It's been a pleasure hanging out with y'all. Been a pleasure hanging out with the chat. We will be back live next week as well, talking about the biggest events like we talked about. If you can join us on the Patreon, we recap the shows, figure out exactly how our predictions went. We talk about what actually won, and then kind of where things are shaping up, fitting all the pieces together of the meta. We have a blast doing it.
If you are doing nothing this weekend, if in fact right now when you turn off our stream, when we hit end, go over and watch some charity. Donate if you can to the great cause of Child's Play, providing gaming aids to kids suffering with chronic illnesses in hospital, bringing some joy to their lives while they're going through hopefully one of the only rough bits of their lives. And if you can donate, please do. If not, just go over here, like, subscribe, share that boy, and enjoy the content, because it's the best players in the world playing brand new version of the game.
Yeah, it is amazing content, amazing players for an amazing cause. You can't lose, guys. I would be there myself if I wasn't running this event. Colin called me just after I'd booked the terms for this event. So unfortunately, I have to watch from the sidelines this time while I run this event. But next time, go support it for sure. It's great event.
Good night, everybody.